'cause Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't know Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't know Gavaskar at all.
Hey, look! Wait, weren't you too pretty for video?
Pretty.
Was that
Is it?
was that what he said? I thought he said he
No,
didn't
that's
feel
actually what he
comfortable
said.
looking
Nope,
that ugly
that-
on video.
Nope. That is actually
I
what he
said I
said.
didn't have a face for radio. I said I had a face for radio, not for this podcast.
So,
That's
And
what I
to
remember
be
him
honest,
saying. Yeah,
I don't think
it was
any of
very
us
it was
do.
an honest appraisal.
Yeah. And I'm saying I speak for all three of us. I don't think any of us have a face for the video for sure.
okay.
Well, we've done this for 50 episodes now, so
Yeah, we've hit 50. So, clearly we have the face and the voice. You still look like a hobo. Anyway, welcome to the No Balls Cricket Podcast. It's episode 50. We have hit our half century, and in honor of that, we are bringing back one of our first ever members of the crew. His name is Sir Gudeja. Also known as Guddu, also known as Siddharth Solanki, also known as, what was he?
former junior cricketer.
Former junior cricketer,
Yeah,
that's the one.
He did Singapore under 16s or something. Singapore under
13s.
14.
Singapore
I
under
beat them
13s.
third.
Singapore under 13s. Anyway, so first of all, welcome back to the show. Guddu hasn't been here for a very long time, as you can see. And
He's not
yeah.
been here since we switched to video. I think the last time he was
Yeah.
here was
yeah,
we were
Yeah,
still
you
doing
couldn't-
audio podcast back in
It
2018
was
or whatever.
it was a matter of principle. But I'm happy to be back. I'm actually surprised you guys lasted this long. So actually, well done. I'm actually surprised. It's a cool thing. And also, I prefer to be referred to as the co-founder. I was there from the beginning, not one of the first members. but
He is a founding member. That's true.
he is a founding member. This is true. Before we move on, let's just give you one interesting statistic. This one Guddu will enjoy. It took us 1 year for the first 27 episodes, and it has taken us nearly 2.5 for the next 23, which has included
Yeah,
3 relocations.
yeah. We had a bit of a hiatus once we had to figure out how to do Bombay, LA.
Yeah, basically. Anyway, with that in mind, since this is a special episode, we're going to especially swing into the roundup.
Did you
This
want
is-
a reaction?
This is the bit where Devrat starts talking, and for once in his life, he's fucking short of words.
I'm mesmerized by that mane of hair that has joined us for this podcast, for this particular episode.
Yeah, because your hair's too ugly for it, clearly.
Listen, I don't think a guy who doesn't have hair should be taking any podcast with anyone else.
Don't worry, I still don't own a comb.
Which
Yeah,
is fair.
that's
I mean, why would you need one?
Exactly.
I haven't seen a lack of self-awareness like this before.
Says the man who epitomizes the
Um,
lack of self-awareness. Anyway, carrying on.
What are you talking about? I haven't seen Gudeja's lack of self-awareness. I need more context here.
As and when this will come, can we start the podcast?
All right. Yes, on to the roundup. Australia won the second test match after a very thrilling finish, actually. It ended up being closer than a lot of us thought it would be after the way the first test went. But Alex Carey with an unbeaten 98 helped them win by 3 wickets on the final day. And take the series 2-0. I think, if I remember correctly, and I haven't double checked this, but I think the last time New Zealand beat Australia in a test in New Zealand was in 1993. Just goes to show how dominant that particular rivalry has been.
Yeah, Australia is like New Zealand's kryptonite. Even when they were World Test champions, they did not manage to beat Australia.
Yeah, They're like the perpetual little brother, but like the little brother who never actually beats big brother.
Yeah, might sound familiar to some. Anyway, but yeah, they recovered from what, 33 for 4 in that final inning?
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those classic Australia fight packs. They were 34 for 4, and then had a partnership of well, actually, not the 34 for 4, 80 for 5, and then had a
Yeah.
partnership of 140 runs between Mitch Marsh and Alex Carey that took them close to the finish line.
Yeah.
Ben
And
Shields.
yeah, so and there's the fourth innings Pat Cummins, who's a completely different breed of batsman. I think he averages. So go on, Devrat. Go on.
Pat Cummins has a higher fourth innings average than anyone else in that Australia 11.
Wait, I thought since he's on here, we've finally got him on, so maybe he could provide us with the
Let him do the stats. Okay,
stat
go
segment.
for it. Go
Stat
for it.
segment sponsored by Chopta Chudinho.
But I don't actually have any stats prepared. I just saw this and that was really impressive. And considering what he's done over the past year just with the ball, I think this is even more impressive. And he was averaging more than what everyone basically. Smith,
Yeah.
Khwaja. Yeah, go on, Devrat. I don't know all the other players.
I didn't have anything else to say other than that he had the highest average of anyone in that entire lineup.
Yeah, and there's also the thing of, and this is not really a stat, but he's been involved in some when Australia have hit the winning runs in some iconic matches now, I guess, which was Glenn Maxwell against Afghanistan. He was there. England's first win, Australia's first win in the Ashes. He was there, and then this match, of course. I think this is another solid performance from him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did kind of rob Carey of the century, which is funny because he tried very hard to not hit a boundary, and then it was like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah, I think he got to that point. He's just like, nah, balls to this. However, this whole thing could have been very different had Rachin Ravindra caught Mitchell Marsh.
Yeah, it's very funny because they took New Zealand took a wicket very next ball. That's when they got Travis Head. But yeah, obviously, you know, Head's been in some pretty bad form recently, but pretty much ever's been destroying India in the World Test Championship final. His test form has like taken a nosedive since. So they could have survived letting Head bat on, but the Marsh drop really cost them.
Moving on from Australia and New Zealand, much like Thanos won that
onto a real rivalry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, much like Thanos won that test match, Thanos in Indian cricket has also won the Ranji Trophy, but we will get into that. That's a little later on.
Let's talk about, since we talk about Australia and New Zealand, now let's talk about an actual real rivalry.
Oh, yeah, of course. We have to talk about the greatest rivalry in the history of mankind. One that even included timed out celebrations. What are we talking about?
The Nagin Derby.
Oh my God. It even has such a ridiculous name.
I don't understand. I mean, I do understand. We know the background, but it's like this. How this one particular rivalry has gotten so heated. Like it's literally now, like India Pakistan is more friendly than Bangladesh Sri Lanka is.
Yeah, I mean in Bangladesh Sri Lanka is now a proper rivalry. India Pakistan has just become I don't know. It's like a love-in with like a cricket game attached to it, dude.
Yeah, it's very weird. India Pakistan, all the fans want to kill each other, all the players love each other. Here, everyone seems to just hate each other.
But I wonder if things will change when Pakistan become more competitive. Like at the minute, we aren't close enough, and I feel like things will kick off when.
Are Bangladesh and Sri Lanka close enough to each other for it to be this heated?
I mean, I know I've questioned Bangladesh's nationhood a bunch of times and called them East Bengal on the show, but come on, this should not be a real rivalry. It started over one stupid dance, and then some seemingly trivially controversial things have happened and keep happening. But it's just bizarre. Yeah. It's like the whole Zimbabwe
Most recently,
thing.
of course, at the World Cup. But yeah,
Just-
most recently
yeah.
at the World Cup, of course, when Shakib like dismissed. I don't know did you give him credit for that dismissal? Anyway, but had Angelo Matthews declared out for taking too long to take guard, an event that was referenced throughout this particular T20 series, which Sri Lanka did end up winning 2-1. So I guess it was pretty close. But yeah, in the first T20, Sri Lanka did a celebration to that had some sort of allusion to the timed out, and then when Bangladesh won, they repurposed that same celebration. So the shots were definitely fired here.
So has this moved from the Nagin Davi to the timed out Davi?
The Nagin Davi is just too nice a name to actually get rid of.
Yeah, it's too good a name, and plus that weird.
The celebration also.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Sri Lanka and Bangladesh really pretty much. There was a bit of random T20 going on. Mumbai won the Ranji Trophy. India beat England in a Test series 4-1. And with that, let us move into the first bit of our two main segments. We will talk about the Ranji Trophy.
Well, both you guys are the domestic cricket experts here. I'll let one of you start.
Let's get the neutral view on this.
Also, that there's two diehard Mumbai fans here.
Yeah, and there's Mr. Saurashtra sitting at the bottom.
Dude, first of all, I support whoever's winning. When Mumbai are winning,
look, the original glory hunter.
But to be fair, and this is something I've been saying for a long time, apart from Chris Wilder being England's next manager, is Sitanshu Kotak, who's the head coach of Saurashtra, has genuinely been doing a good job. They were okay this season, but the past few seasons they've been performing extremely well, and that's all down to him and Jaydev Unadkat. But they're a good team. They're a good team is all I have to say.
Honestly, Jaydev Unadkat has a chance to go down as one of India's best ever domestic cricketers.
Yeah. Isn't he you're talking about Sitanshu Kotak, right? Because my
No, he was
I'm talking about Unadkat. I think
Oh, Unadkat? Yeah. Why not? That's a good story, dude. That's genuinely a good story. Are you trying to hold in your laugh, Devrat?
What? He's not even in the top 20. What the fuck are you guys talking about?
Dude, last season, was it last season, the season before? I'm not saying he's in the top 20, but he's one of, considering how many cricketers there are, he's in the top 5%, I would say, domestic performance.
Yeah, that's why he got it.
If you could,
that's why he got a pity test cap like Shahbaz Nadeem.
I think the pity test cap, I don't know, he was the first one the pity test cap, or was the recall the pity test cap?
No, the recall was definitely the pity test cap. The first one was like, okay, fine.
Let's try him out.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway,
anyway.
Yeah, we should get back to Mumbai. Who are the two domestic cricket experts?
You, for one, because you clearly had history with Saurashtra.
Barely. This is, I feel like I should speak about this. This conversation taking a little like serious turn. But my first day at Saurashtra, well, for all our tens of viewers, I'll tell you a story when I interned with the Saurashtra Ranji Trophy cricket team. And the first day I went there, and I was just sitting by the nets waiting for the players to come. And the team manager, not the team coach, the team manager comes up to me. And his first question to me was like, oh, what's your name? And then second question is like, what's your caste? And I was shocked because I don't know my caste. And he thought I was hiding something from him. And I swear he treated me differently for the rest of the 2 months I was there. I guess it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a bit. That's our one political statement for this episode. We haven't had one in a while. Meanwhile, I have to kill a mosquito. Anyway, coming back to the Ranji Trophy final. Mumbai first win in what, 8 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by Bombay standards, that's a pretty long drought actually.
That is literally like the Arabian Sea drying up when it comes to them winning Ranji trophies. It's now championship number 42. Interesting tidbits. Dhaval Kulkarni, Mumbai legend, has played his last Ranji Trophy game today. He retired, and he also had the honor of taking the last wicket.
See, here's the thing. If you're gonna call Dhawal Kulkarni a legend, then Jaydev Unadkat definitely is a legend. I'm sorry.
I called Dhaval Kulkarni a Mumbai legend. I didn't call him a Ranji Trophy legend. Levels.
Didn't Unadkat take the most wickets for a pacer
Yes.
in Ranji Trophy history
Yes.
this season?
Yes.
That makes him.
I was only being like half joking. He genuinely has a great Ranji record.
No
anyways,
question. Anyway, moving on. We are not here to talk about Jaydev Unadkat. Despite the fact that a few years earlier, we have actually somehow managed to jokingly predict that he will play Test cricket.
Yeah, I call that. Somehow I called that. I don't know how.
I don't know how that happened. Anyway, back to the game.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. Amazing.
Carry on.
But yeah, I mean, look, they were the best team throughout the league stages. Only one defeat in the entire tournament. With the best lower order in the league. You can't even call them tailenders anymore. The numbers 10 and 11 have first class hundreds now. But also, what really won them the tournament is two things: the absolute khadus mentality of traditional Mumbai teams, but also the fact that they had a completely gun bowling attack. And despite the slowness of the conditions, they somehow managed to overcome it on that final day. And Tushar Deshpande is showing that he can actually bowl bouncers.
That was actually pretty impressive to get come in after lunch and bounce a couple of people out. It's worth pointing out that this is, yet again, and this has been the story of Mumbai season. Honestly, this has been the story of Mumbai, is like just in general, they're known for doing this and since forever. But first day they were 111 for 6 and 154 for 7 before Shardul Thakur came in, hit 75 of 69 to help them crawl past to 200. And then, of course, they just blew Vidarbha away in the first inning. Dhaval Kulkarni taking 3 wickets, and then the two spinners, Shams Mulani and Tanush Koti, also just wrapping up the innings towards the end. But suddenly, from a point where it looked like, oh shit, Mumbai are in trouble, to somehow having a 100-run lead at the end of the first innings, that was quite a classic turnaround.
Yeah, and I mean, like, performances are not. I mean, Mushir Khan looks like he's the next big thing out of Mumbai.
Anytime you're breaking a record that was previously held by Sachin Tendulkar, in this case, the youngest person to score a century in a Ranji final, that's always going to be noteworthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a player. And he's an all-round package. He bowls as well. Picked up a couple of wickets in the second innings as well. And just what a player, man. Also, kudos to Shreyas Iyer for providing us the comedy moment of the year, the way he got out on day 3 trying to go for 100.
Very classic Sehwag.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there was no way that ball was going anywhere. He wanted to hit it into the Arabian Sea, but it just went straight up.
Listen, anytime someone's on like 94 onwards or 194, whatever, and they try getting to the milestone with a 6, I appreciate it. I respect you even if you get out.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, 42nd title, best team all season, and now
that is even they won that carrying Ajinkya Rahane throughout the season. So
oh my god, he was
10 men.
He came into the final averaging 13 runs for the season.
Yeah,
he literally, I think he scored 134 runs in 10 innings up until the final. Or maybe that was 10 innings after the first innings of the final. Thankfully, he came good when it was needed in the second innings. When Mumbai were in a spot of bother, he got a 70 odd. But like literally his one contribution with the bat all season long.
Rounding off the 50 with the number 50, obviously Wankhede Stadium also celebrating its 50th anniversary. So nice little bit of, it's a little bit of karma, destiny, all of that. Mumbai winning the title at the Wankhede in its 50th year of existence. And us talking about it on the 50th episode.
It was meant to be.
It was just meant
All
to
the
be.
numbers match up.
All the numbers match up.
The astrologers will this to happen.
No, Mercury was apparently in retrograde for Vidarbha.
Mercury was in Gatorade, as the kids say.
Mercury was in gate. What? Okay. Anyway, moving on from that. We shall now move on to more serious matters. It was India basically taking England's soul in that fifth test.
It was fun to see.
This is kind of, this just makes me more annoyed at how we sort of threw the first test away, because we genuinely were good enough to have won that series 5-0. But yeah, just the fact that we officially destroyed BazBall, I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. The funny
I-
thing is that now people are, I know Brendan McCullum said that, yeah, we just gotta like fine-tune BazBall. I just love that they're doubling down on it, and they don't think this was the reason why they lost.
Did
Did McCullum actually say the word BazBall? Because I thought he hates that word.
No, he actually said it.
Oh, so now he's grown to like it. Interesting.
I think they drank too much of their own Kool-Aid. Like they just think they're the greatest thing.
We've been saying this for months now. We've been calling it like them being high on their own supply.
It is a cult. It is literally a cult. I mean, I'll tell you what. First of all, India's biggest achievement in that game was making James Anderson's 700th Test wicket look like the complete anticlimax that it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just getting Kuldeep Yadav out on the third morning, and then you end up losing on the third afternoon, it doesn't seem that momentous.
No, exactly. It just seemed so anticlimactic, and like, just that was, I think, India's greatest.
699 was an interesting moment, though.
Yeah, 699 was a very interesting moment where I mean, everyone got a little chirpy towards the back end of the game, didn't they?
Well, it's also funny because apparently England just it's like they have one of those like unspoken rules. This is like their own team version of the spirit of cricket bullshit, where it's like apparently you're not allowed to say or do anything to James Anderson. Like James Anderson is untouchable. So like we saw this in the 2021 series in England, where it's like when we might have bowled one bouncer to Anderson, and it turned into a national controversy. Like apparently you're not allowed to bowl a bouncer to Anderson. Then Shubman Gill sledged Anderson in this particular test, and Bairstow was all riled up and had a chirp at the Indian fielders while he was batting in the next innings. Like it's apparently, yeah, it's James Anderson is just this overgrown man-child who needs to be protected like he's an actual baby, and England just like sort of circle their wagons around him for God knows what reason.
Yeah, to be fair, from the exchange, it seemed like either Gill or Anderson really cared about it. It just seemed like something that would happen in the game. But Bairstow had nothing going on for him in this series, so he had to be, get involved somehow. And I think this was his way of making it all about him. Because if you think about it, it's like it's not even an offensive sledge. It's just a funny one. I have no idea why Bairstow in particular found Gill's comment offensive. I don't think anyone else brought it up as much.
No, I think it was actually low key. It's actually a really good sledge. It gets ruined by the fact that he then gets out 2 balls later. But just to say, hey man, it's time to retire. I think that's actually a fairly classic.
Yes, it's not even offensive. It just gets under his skin. I thought it was really funny. Bairstow's an idiot, as we all know. So we'll forgive him for this one and can move on. You can ignore anything.
Sorry. On that note, you said very clearly that Bairstow is an idiot, and one of my friends also said he got out 2 balls later, but there are more. Apparently, there are more people that have offered him their wives because of that chant, obviously. But this is a Jonny Bairstow tidbit that I would very much like to share with everybody. Have a look.
There's also there needs to be some context to this. So early BazBall, obviously that was like peak Bairstow batting when and he burned India too in that chase for 378 or whatever when he scored centuries in both innings of that match, I think. But he was just in a different zone at the time. And Mark Nicholas, then wrote a piece in Cricket Info saying that Bairstow had ascended to a higher plane, the likes of which only people like Lara and Viv Richards and Virat Kohli had ever been on, and Bairstow's on that. Mind you, this is something he's saying after like maybe a 7-match spell, all right? But Bairstow apparently had ascended to this plane. And then since that, literally since the publishing of this article, Bairstow's form has taken a nosedive. He averages in the 20s or something since that moment. Obviously, it's more down to the injuries and coming back and all of that, but we're blaming Mark Nicholas for this.
I mean,
Yeah. Why let the facts get in the way of a good joke? I do.
I have one more. Speaking of stats, here's one for you guys. This is also presented by Chopta Chudinho, even though he has absolutely nothing to do with finding this one. Hold on while I find it.
Yeah, at least we.
There's your stat.
How the heck is it? Oh wow.
Yes, this is quite funny. I mean, Kuldeep just the thorn in the side all series, but the fact that Ben Stokes has had a horror series. It was.
But
He was actually playing as a specialist captain.
Yeah, so he was in the mold of Mike Brearley.
No, he did give the series one of its best moments when he took Rohit Sharma out from the first ball he bowled all tour.
Yeah.
But
man for the occasion. And
that
to
was
be honest to
pretty
him, yeah, he did have a few really good balls bowled to him and also a few really bad ones that got him out.
I mean, he wasn't picking Kuldeep at all. So
Yeah.
And of course he has a known history of not being able to play Ashwin.
But I mean,
That's
okay.
any level.
Let's put it this way: India have basically taken BazBall, smacked it on the back of the head, stuffed it in like a carton, and shipped it back to England.
Pretty much.
Like it wasn't even close. There was, I think there was another stat from the first game where it was the biggest gap in terms of experience of the number of caps that people have in the team for the first 2 games ever.
Yeah, and I think once in the second game when Jadeja went out, India's entire 11 combined had fewer test runs in their career than Joe Root on his own, and yet India outbatted England pretty much the entire series.
But one thing has shone through. One little fact has shone through. Forget BazBall, forget the cult, forget all the fucking shenanigans. They're a mediocre cricket team.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point of BazBall is that they know they're mediocre and they're trying to compete anyway.
And to be like, I think we should respect and acknowledge BazBall's greatest victory, which is making Zach Crawley look like one of the greatest test openers of all time. I've genuinely enjoyed watching him.
He had a fairly, like by opposition batting standards, he had a fairly successful tour of India.
One of them. I think he had the most
50s.
Yeah, he had. I don't have this off the top of my head, but he had more Test 50s than I think he was in the top 2 for sure. He was above Hayden, from 2001, but he's definitely in the top 1 or 2. We should look this up and edit this in at some point, Sid. I'll look this up.
You're supposed to be. You're our stats guy. You're supposed to be.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in Chennai. I would have prepped, but I remember this I was
You're in the Homer stats.
Yeah, how well he.
Wait, okay, so what is the stat here that he has the most 50s
Yeah,
in a
most
single
50 plus
score?
scores of an opposing batsman in a series in India.
without
Okay.
scoring 100.
I don't even
Or
think it's
just in
without
general?
scoring 100. It's just
Yeah.
plus like 50.
But also therein lies the issue with Zach Crawley's series is that he didn't score 100 a single time.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
England's leading run scorer, but without getting 100. Okay. Now you've done your research and you have an actual stat for us.
Yeah, the stat we were discussing about Zach Crawley being a very good opener now suddenly. And the stat was that he became the first opposition batsman to have more than 450 plus scores in an innings since Matthew Hayden in 2001, which
In
is
a tour,
very
you mean?
in a tour, yeah.
And that was the tour that basically anointed Matthew Hayden as their number one opener. But anyway, we'll get to a
Zach
little
Crawley came in pre-anointed.
pre-anointed.
case.
Yeah, he was the chosen one. More than Jesus Christ or more views. Anyway, so okay, a little statistical tidbit about BazBall, and we'll get to it in a second. So India versus final false shot results. Basically, you play more shots, but of course you increase the inherent risk involved. Now, Devat, you actually understand this a bit better, so I'm going to pull this up, and you can tell us more about it.
So if you want to click on the left one here, and so that we're just looking at that because the right one is bowling.
Yeah, and there we go.
All right. So the way this works, basically, the higher you are on this chart, that's the better. Like that's better. You're basically either by some miracle your false shots are just fetching a lot of runs, or what's more likely is that you're scoring a lot of runs between your false shots. And that's where you want to be. And then if you notice, some people have really dark circles or squares. And I think the labeling here is just in England are squares and India are circles. But yeah, if you want to be on a lighter shade square by this metric because that's how much more in control you are. So and that's the false shot per ball metric that's labeled on the right. And then the further left you are on this chart, that's quote unquote how much luckier you are. And that's not luck as in like, oh my God, he's such a lucky batsman. It's like, luck is kind of part and parcel of the game. Is this, the more in theory, the more false shots you play, the more you should be getting out. In this case, if you're further to the left, that means you're getting out less often, even with the frequency of your false shot. So hopefully that explains it. The key thing here to notice is like, go on, sorry.
So we were discussing this earlier, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me on this or not, but I came up with a theory. And the thing is, if you're going, so a false shot, it could basically be an outside edge over the slips or a bat pad catch. It counts as one false shot, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. This particular this chart doesn't sort of differentiate between the different types of false shots that there can be.
Exactly.
And like hitting a spinner over the top and completely mishitting it, but it landing safe because there's no fielder there, that's also a false shot. But just the theory is, or at least the conventional theory is, the more times you do something like that, the more likely you are to get out. The essence of BazBall is, what we are, and it's really, it points to what we were talking about. Like you said, they're a mediocre team, and the thing is, the one credit I give to them for this whole thing is that I think they realize they're a mediocre team, and that's why they lean into this batting philosophy. If you ask someone like Zach Crawley or Ben Duckett to sit there and try to survive a spell of hostile fast bowling or like some really high quality spin, they're not going to do it. So instead, they're going to slog or not even slog. They play most of the time. They're playing like proper cricket shots. They're just playing shots at times where better players would be happy defending and then finding looser balls to take shots off of. These guys will take shots off or play shots off of anything, and they're making it work for the most part because they're just backing themselves to either pierce the field or find the gaps or whatever, even when they play false shots.
Yeah. And I think
But
this
here's
was something that was referenced throughout the series, at least on broadcast, was, or maybe it wasn't on broadcast, but on the internet, was the difference in averages pre and post BazBall. For people like Joe Root and Ben Stokes, it was pretty similar. But like Devraj said, it helped the sorts of players like Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, who couldn't really play Test cricket before. And you see it's a 10-15 run jump in their averages following this BazBall philosophy. So it's worked for them, and it's been entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, but therein lies their sort of problem that they faced in India, where you got, and especially in the last two games, where you saw a lot of people getting out defending. I mean, Ben Duckett was out defending. I think India figured them out also. Kuldeep Yadav had an absolutely outstanding series. And you know, and that was the thing that you got to a point that here really where India essentially figured out BazBall and how to deal with their plans, and then they were really brutally exposed for what they were, which is a mediocre cricket team where not many people have a decent enough defensive technique, and a lot of people get out for scores between 20 and 40.
But I have a question for you guys. Is there anything else that they could have done differently? I feel like this was their best chance of winning. I just think they should have shut up their mouth and not like maybe spoken as much as they did. But it wasn't the worst strategy in the world because they couldn't have defended anyway. So I'm just wondering, like, what else could they have done? Any visiting team coming to India is going to get destroyed.
Look, it
So you might as
worked
well
in
play the-
it. Look at it this way: they didn't just have a moral victory in the first game, although they very quickly got to that wheelchairs anything,
Yeah.
which was in their brain a moral victory. But you know, I mean, plain and simple stupidity for everybody else. But no, they actually won the first game. Okay, granted, India had a couple of bad sessions, but that was also on outside of Ranchi, maybe the worst pitch. And when it came to Dharamshala, which was possibly the flattest pitch, they had two meltdowns with the bat. And I mean like full blown meltdowns, not just, oh, look, where, 200 and whatever for, like Rajkot, for example, where they were 200 and whatever for two and then end up being bowled out for 300 and not too many. But which you can't really consider a bad inning. But I mean, Dharamshala was a complete and utter meltdown, and they went so far away from their method in both there and the second innings in Ranchi. I think they got sucked into playing India's game.
Yeah, that's a fair point because as the series progressed, I feel like they also lost a little bit of confidence. They put up a brave face in the press conferences, but then you saw the strike rates of all these batsmen, apart from Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett up top, they actually went into their shell, including for Joe Root, it worked, some would say. But Ben Stokes was someone who's supposedly the face of BazBall on the pitch for England. He was really defensive throughout the series.
Well, Stokes has kind of been doing that in the last maybe year or so, where he's kind of taken the strategic decision that he's going to start slow because he thinks he can make up the runs as long as the longer he stays on the crease. But yeah, I think what was it? The second innings in Ranchi was the first time in the BazBall era that they had a completed innings with a run rate of less than 3. I think earlier on was one of the first times they'd had a completed innings that same innings, Kuldeep Yadav became the first bowler to have a completed innings against them with an economy of less than 2. It's just, yeah, like they just, I don't know if they went into their shells or I think the bowling quality finally really told, and they didn't know how to play. They couldn't play the same way against that kind of bowling again.
And it goes back to my point at the beginning where I said wicket-taking bowlers are going to do really well against this because they will find ways of picking up wickets. As the series went on, Jadeja, who is very consistent, but honestly the least of the wicket-taking threats from the three spinners, became less of a factor in the series. Bumrah was outstanding in Vizag, and he's just a wicket-taking threat in general. He's always going to pick up wickets. Ashwin became a wicket-taking threat as the series wore on, and Kuldeep Yadav found himself, basically.
I think that selection of Kuldeep. I mean, obviously the second test it was enforced because Jadeja was injured, but like the even then they could have gone the way of maybe picking Washington Sundar, for example, because he's more of a like for Jadeja and that he brings the batting as well, though he's not as anywhere near as good a bowler. But the fact that they picked Kuldeep there and then they stuck with him after that and dropped Rakshad instead when Jadeja came back, I think those were the two key decisions that kind of changed the series.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know Kuldeep Yadav is a good bowler and he's done well in Test cricket whenever he's played before that. But the fact of the matter is, he'd only played what 10 games in 7 years.
Yeah.
But at this version of Kuldeep, looks like he's like, I don't know, he's gonna be fucking Shane Warne at this rate, the way he's bowling right now.
I mean, there's a lot of credit to be given to the way he's sort of resurrected his Test career. He had fitness issues and he lost form like pretty drastically for a while in the middle. But he himself, he acknowledges the fact that he wasn't, especially from a fitness perspective, wasn't in the best place for a while. But the fact that he's worked on that, I think he's got a stronger core. Just the fact that he can bowl longer spells and bowl at a higher pace than he used to be able to.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Yeah, I was just gonna say, don't forget that he aspires to be the greatest all-rounder known to mankind.
He has worked on his batting. Now, whether he can actually be a number 7 batter the way Jadeja can is a separate story. But I mean, he faced more balls this series than Jonny Bairstow did. So,
and Ben Stokes.
Nearly more. It was like 5 fewer than Ben Stokes.
I see. Okay, but yeah. No, I think it goes to show how the outcome of this series just proved two things. Just goes to show how difficult it is to win in India and how much of an achievement it was the last time somebody did, which ironically was England in 2012. But it also goes to show that England really are a mediocre Test team. I mean, now if you look at it, they went from what, third or fourth on the World Test Championship table to now 8th or 7th, something like that.
Yeah, I think there is right now. And I mean, look, that table sort of is fairly fluid ever since they moved to determining it based on percentages rather than actual points. And they've got home series against West Indies and Sri Lanka, I think it is coming up. Yeah. So they'll probably move back up. But yeah, I think that's the thing. They in like the 2 years before BazBall, they lost 12 out of 13 tests. And I think the fact that then they did this whole sort of re-strategizing, beat New Zealand, beat South Africa, beat Pakistan, won a test against India, won 2 tests against Australia, who are definitely a better side.
Almost won the Ashes.
Yeah, almost. Won the moral Ashes.
Morally won the Ashes.
No, to be fair, exactly. without the rain, they would have won it. They were on top in that game.
Oh my God, bro, you're complaining about rain in Manchester, bro.
You know what I mean.
That rain is genuine divine intervention, because had they won the Ashes, they would have been. They're already insufferable, but had they actually won that from 2-0 down with all the hoopla about spirit of cricket and whatnot after like everything that was going on, I'm happy that match got laid down.
So where do England go from here then?
They go back home and they beat up on West Indies. I actually think West Indies could give them a run for their money there.
Yeah, Shamar Joseph will take some polls.
And yeah, Shamar Joseph and Jaden Seals, pretty good 1-2 punch in the fast bowling department.
No, but I mean, they have to sort of learn from it. There's a lot to change about the approach towards BazBall, I think. But it's sort of minor adjustments. I think on the whole, the meta's fine. It's just, I don't see it as a sustainable way of playing. Because you will get conditions where people are going to be able to run through you. Then what do you do?
Yeah, but I guess it goes back to the discussion we had earlier about them being a mediocre team. I don't think they have too many other options. They can't really play any other way. And, for once, I guess like the last few years, their opening is the most stable part of the team, which blows my mind. The opening pair are genuinely the only part of the batting order where they'll consistently get runs. I think they have a few spinners coming through, which is, I guess, one of the few positives for them. If they get them more experience, they might be, good contributors for them in the future. But apart from the opening pair and the spinners, I don't really see a positive for them. And like you said, I think they just have to fine tune it. I really don't think they can do better than this. And sometimes maybe cricket's just about entertainment, and they've provided that. They're
That's it.
competitive.
They started off saying we're here to entertain, we're not here to win matches. That's what Stokes said after.
Yeah, and we're
I mean,
entertained.
they provided us the parody entertainment that we all needed. India, I mean, so many positives. Jaiswal, the emergence
Jaiswal
of
just looks the he looks like he's born for this level of cricket. He's like I think of some of the, you look at some of the young players who have come up in recent times, whether it's Gill or Shaw or even Shreyas Iyer. Jaiswal just has a better technique compared to all of them, and he looks like he could play anywhere and bat well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and look, India, the big positive from this is that your bench strength is good.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping to see Rishabh Pant back in Test cricket at the end of the year when we tour Australia. But in the meantime, Dhruv Jurel did a really good job keeping and batting in this series. Obviously, you'll have KL Rahul available, and we know what he can do. Sarfraz Khan, I mean, the hard yards he's put in to reach this spot, and then the way he batted in this series when he finally got his chance, it was impressive to see.
Yeah, and then Shubman Gill coming back into form. Kuldeep sort of taking the mantle, and he seems to be India's future lead spinner, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ashwin going past 500 Test wickets as well over the course of the series.
That's gonna be the big question in Australia, is where we know two things. One, that India prefer the 5-bowler combination, but also that is specifically away from home. It's always 4 quicks and a spinner, and therefore that kind of it makes them have to play Jadeja. Not that Jadeja doesn't merit a spot anyway, but he just has to play at 7 because he's the only bowler who can. He's a proper all-rounder, really, where no one else in the bowling attack either spin or pace.
Until Arjun Tendulkar has a very good IPL.
No. Or else Lord goes back to being Lord.
Yeah.
If we can, so the question is, how do we play Kuldeep Yadav in an away test? And the answer that SP and I have come up with is that Shardul Thakur plays at 7.
Yeah, pretty sensible, really sensible solution. Sorry, I can't take that seriously. No, but yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean, look, there's the World T20, the T20 World Cup rather after this, the IPL obviously, and we're not going to play Test cricket for a while, and then the next series is against Bangladesh, so you could basically try your C team, still win, and literally nothing of note will have happened because it's at home.
I wonder if Kohli's going to come back for that or not. Is that another series where all the big guns rest?
No, I think Kohli will get bored, make another baby, and then just go to sleep again.
Yeah, but that's, I think
too soon for another baby.
Yeah, he might play if we do the unthinkable and drop him from the T20 World Cup squad. I don't even know why his place is being questioned at the minute, or why there are rumors flying around. But if that happens, I think he might play Test matches. And also, I think one positive. Sorry, go on.
I also think I don't think he and Rohit should be in the T20 setup right now anyway. But
maybe
they decided
I could still make a case for Kohli, not Rohit. If they drop Kohli, then Rohit has no business being in the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, that's a separate story.
That's a discussion for a separate episode. Okay, let's go back.
I just want to bring up one more thing. Sid, about, I think we haven't discussed it yet, but is in my eyes a positive as a lover of Test cricket is the announcement by BCCI about the test match incentives. And I think this happened during the series with Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer. Unfortunately, got involved and grouped with Ishan Kishan, but Jay Shah announced that for if I think they're different grades, but at each grade they get more money basically for playing Test cricket. And for Indian cricketers, first class cricketers, they could make IPL level money if they feature for Indian, I guess 90% of the matches.
So basically, what you're saying is that you are paying the guys that make it and not protecting the guys that don't and don't play the IPL. So as usual, the BCCI have come to
Nope.
the right. Hang on, let me finish. The right idea, wrong execution.
Hang on. I'm not letting you finish because
Yeah.
you and I both know very well that you're stealing my words and passing them off as your own.
But they're also
Aren't they something at some point?
Look, I think it's a lot. I think it's window dressing in a way. It looks like a good initiative, but what it really is effectively the whole thing came up with Shreyas and Kishan with and Shreyas, as it turns out, he was genuinely injured.
Yeah.
He was off the field for the last 2 days of the Ranji Trophy final. But this whole thing happened with Kishan not playing domestic cricket, Shreyas being past fit by the NCA, which again, how is he past fit? And then this is happening. But him being past fit and then not turning up for the quarterfinal for Mumbai. And therefore, I think like between Ajit Agarkar and the other powers that be, everyone seemed to like decide that they needed to make an example out of the two of them. And so, of course, we had the whole thing we talked about in the last episode of the two of them.
Yeah, we did. I did. Now you're taking my words out of my mouth. I literally said that something needed to be done, and they made examples out of both Kishan and Shreyas.
Yeah. But and this I think ended up being the flip side of that is okay. Now we're instead of to incentivize people playing Test cricket, we're gonna increase the match fees. It doesn't really like. Firstly, it's a very BCCI thing. They've decided that the solution is just to throw money at a problem. But secondly, yeah. Secondly, if you really want to incentivize Test cricket, what you should be doing is increasing the salaries at the next level. So your Ranji cricketers should be your match fees for Ranji rather should be higher. I think that if you really want to,
I think, but isn't that what is going to happen as well? Because that's what I was reading, that it was supposed to be announced around the Ranji Trophy final. That they will increase match fees for first class as well, like domestic.
If they're going to, they haven't done that yet. What they announced at the end of the India-England series is just that they've.
It's just that.
But what I completely agree with you guys. I completely agree with you guys. But from what I read was that they were also going to do it for domestic first-class cricketers.
Well, they haven't announced that just yet, so maybe that's in the pipeline. Who knows?
Yeah, but you're right. You're right. I agree with you guys that it should also be done at the first class level.
Yeah.
It has. I mean, we've seen the impact of the IPL and the fact that then you can. It's just it gives you more of a chance to quote unquote make it by playing IPL cricket just because of the money involved. And we need something that kind of normalizes that for the longer formats. And that's basically what it is. You should be able to have like a full, 10, 15 year Ranji career, which is not easy to do given, the number of people who try making it in domestic cricket. But you should do that and just be able to make a decent living just off of that. And that, I think that's where you would actually incentivize Test cricket. If they announce that, great. But until then, all this really does is like, okay, it's a reward for making it into the India team, which is good, but it doesn't really solve any issues.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we can move on, but it's like the ISL problem where the ISL really had money at the top, but did nothing to solve the grassroots issue of no one really playing football.
I don't think you're going to have the same problem with cricket.
Yeah, but this is a different conversation. This is the idea of like incentivizing at the top, but not really promoting the growth of this format
But no, but that's what okay. I just want to finish off with cricket, but I think you're going completely off tangent as usual with this. Because you cannot compare football with cricket in India. It
I'm not
literally doesn't
comparing.
make
I'm
any
not
sense.
comparing the sports. I'm comparing the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think Indian cricket has the same grassroots problem that Indian football does. And I think here the one rung below Test cricket, which is first class cricket, that needs to be incentivized because the riches available in the IPL are ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, I guess in my grassroots in my head, for this specific situation is first class cricket, like domestic first class cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which isn't exactly grassroots, but okay.
You're right.
Good. Now that Gudu
Glad
is
that we cleared that up.
glad that we cleared that up. Can we move on now? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Speaking of spirit of cricket, it is now time to head into my favorite segment of the evening. Kudu, you've never been on air before, so you're going to hear the full version of it. It is time. What is it? What is it time for? It is time for the No Balls Cricket Awards. Take it away.
Who were you impersonating?
He's not impersonating anyone. He just likes doing this.
I just love doing that. It annoys him. It annoys him. That's why I love doing it.
It just seems so. It's like dramatic flair for the sake of dramatic flair, but it's also not even good.
It's completely
It's a very
unnecessary.
good. Yeah, it's actually a fairly good summarization of BazBall.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, we have
Just to
to
annoy
give.
everyone else.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of annoying everyone else, there were two amazing tidbits from that game in terms of audio wise. One, of course, we've already spoken about, which is Gill and James Anderson. The next bit was Jonny Bairstow, who loves to run his mouth, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Sarfaraz Khan did this in Hindi, so it's just funny for the rest of us because obviously Bairstow didn't understand this. But I think just in the middle of it, so just going through the rundown here, we talked about Gill telling Anderson you should retire, and then Anderson getting him out two balls later. Then Bairstow, who's had a shit series, and really, honestly, you said something about Ben Stokes being the face of BazBall. I think really Bairstow's been the face of BazBall because it was his batting that really dramatically changed once BazBall came on, and that's why he ascended to a higher plane and all of that bullshit. So he's he'd been having a shit series, like I said, and then he comes into that second innings in Dharamshala, like smacks Ashwin around for a bit. He's batting on whatever it is, 30 off of 20 or something like that. And because now he's finally started nailing some shots and he's feeling good about himself, that's when he decides he's gonna start taunting Shubman Gill a bit. And he's like, "Oh, so what were you saying to Jimmy?" And Gill's like just very nonchalantly is just saying, "Yeah, I told him you should retire." And he's like, "Oh, and then he got you out." And I'm like, "Yeah, but Gill's like, yeah, I don't mind someone getting me out after I got my 100. Like, how many hundreds have you gotten this series?" And Bairstow apparently thought it was a flex at the end of this terrible series that he's had to tell Gill, "How many hundreds have you gotten full stop?" Do we check? I think we checked it. He doesn't even. It's also like how many total hundreds does Bairstow have? It's not even that high a number that he should be flexing, man.
No. But the best bit about it was when Dhruv Jurel just goes, "Abey yaar, chup बैठने बोलना उसको." And he basically goes on to say that थोड़े से रन बनाए सीरीज में उसको बात करने की
No, that was Sarfaraz Khan who says.
No, that was Jurel apparently.
No, that was Sarfaraz.
Oh, Sarfaraz. Okay,
fine.
Yeah, but and the best bit about it, he literally gets out next ball.
that was so like a kind of a full circle moment from the Anderson Gill thing, where
so by that
logic, gets out.
The three youngsters win our No Balls Cricket Trash Talk Award.
I will say though, their trash talk does need some work.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they're missing. They need some tutelage from Virat Kohli. Whenever I think once Kohli gets done with sort of raising an actual kid, he needs to raise these kids' game on the sledging front.
Clown of the Year also made an appearance. He went on to tell everybody that अगर वो गार्डन में घूम and this is while Johnny Bairstow was batting, अगर गार्डन में घूमने जाएगा तो मार चोट डाल.
and then,
We
and
we
then at the
all
end
know
of the
who
match
this is.
puts up. And then at the end of the match puts up an Instagram post. Do you want to pull that up?
Didn't he also said, wasn't it for, he said कोई भी garden में घूमे तो was it for the Indian fielders, no? Because Sid, you said it wrong. I don't think that was the quote.
No, it was. I think that was for Bairstow, but anyway.
No. He said कोई भी garden में घूमेगा तो उनकी मार छोड़ दूंगा. It was for the Indian fielders lazing around.
Ah, was it?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is such a random picture, man. Like, they're just chilling anyway. But the feel-good moment for this. I mean, look at all the youngsters around Rohit. And he's become like the Bada Bhai, the Don of the team. So yeah, he wins our Clown of the Year award. And
I did just look this up to get full context, by the way. But this is something, yeah. Guddu was right. Rohit said this in Vizag on the third day. He was just telling his fielders, "Koi bhi garden mein ghumne jayega." Which of course in Maidan cricket just means if you're being lazy on the field.
Yeah.
Very classic Rohit, so bringing his normal Maidan
slang to it. Right. Last but not least on the show, first of all, I think we all need to give ourselves a pat on the back. We have reached 50 episodes.
For getting this.
I will. It was a huge part of it.
Okay.
You were the Jack Leach of this partnership.
You are literally the Jack Leach of this show. Anyway.
Yeah, you even have the glasses for it.
Specsaver sponsorship right here.
Is the hair.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm more than
Not
confident.
Specsaver. What is it? What is your local glasses from? Navrang Optics sponsors.
But little retrospective. Navrang Optics, love it. Anyway, little retrospective. The first time we recorded on the podcast, Devrat was stuck on an Andheri bridge that was.
Oh, that is fantastic.
That was still, still done up. You could still drive through it. He was stuck in traffic over there because that was the week that it fell down. It is now 6 years later. The bridge has been closed / partially closed / somehow still functional for all of those 6 years, and now it doesn't even have connectors. And much like Sir Gudeja has joined us on this podcast, he also has no connection to what we've done in the last 50 episodes. So let's go on a little retrospective.
Wow, that is some stretch, and yet you somehow managed to make that work.
I have connected every little bit.
Unlike the BMC.
Unlike the BMC. No. See, look. It's very simple. The BMC is a path-breaking organization, just like we are a path-breaking podcast. Not my words, Azim Banatwala's, but I'm stealing them. These are, so we compiled some of the best bits over the years from us shitting on, or rather me shitting on Dinesh Karthik, Jaydev Unadkat, Bangladesh, basically pretty much all of those, and not necessarily in that order. And of course, our favorite thing on this podcast that we've done throughout this episode as well, which is shit on England. So please take a look and enjoy.
A few episodes earlier, we have made a bet that if Dinesh Karthik ends up getting picked in the Indian T20 squad, I have to grow a moustache.
Oh yeah, I mean you're kind of already doing one. You're getting there.
Yeah, I know, but this is going to be shaved off in the morning, so there's no point.
Okay, fair.
Okay, fine. Niket maybe gets a little bit of credit for that, but he also should have told us that the pitch was going to be this shit. What was the point of an inside man on the pitch?
What was his? One minute.
Niket, if you're watching and listening, guys.
I mean, what part of that pitch was English look? The patchy grass on the first day, which basically held it together to make it patta is hardly a word. Bhenchod highway bana diya.
Listen, if India if all the roads in India were like that, we would be doing road trips every single time. I would not fly in India ever.
Bro, it would have been so impressive, right? Remember that chappie that drove his Wagoner into the middle of a Ranji Trophy game? You remember that? Yeah, this would have been the perfect road for him to drive his car on.
What? What? I had to protect myself from Bangladesh.
It's just hard to take you seriously at all.
Wait, hang on. I got it. I'm a cricketer who is out of this world.
The third game was an absolute firecracker. At 240 odd for 6, you thought they were dead and buried, but no. That motherchode mosquito buzzer, bzzz, fucking Sam Curran has to come and hit 80 and nearly give us a heart attack. Thank God he did not win the game for them. But yeah, they almost chased down 330 again. University of Manchester. And believe me, anybody who knows anything about cricket, they are bloody insufferable right now, man. Kohli, please just win us a test match. Shut these fuckers up, man.
What? There we go. Well, that's kind of the perfect way to start because that was a fuck up of the highest order. But welcome to the No Walls Cricket Podcast. Here's a Mughal era painting of a Pakistani fielder.
The best way to sign this off is our first or maybe our second episode, I can't remember which one it was right after we had lost the test match to England at home, as it were. And this was when Shahbaz Nadeem made his test debut after his Ranji exploits. SP, guess who was the most impactful retiree of the Ranji Trophy season this year?
Impactful retiree of the... Oh my God. Oh, not this again.
Shahbaz Nadeem has announced his retirement from Ranji cricket. This is the proper full circle for the podcast.
I was so happy with Dhaval Kulkarni finishing that bloody Ranji Trophy off. Why did this chutia had to bring up Shahbaz Nadeem and make me have a fucking meltdown? There's only one bigger meltdown I had on this podcast.
When was that?
Remember Rob's channel got blocked on YouTube?
Oh, no.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Have a look. To see his piece of cricket history just being taken down because some cunt decided that, oh, I want to create a stir and cause a copyright strike. Whoop-de-doo. Rob needs to pay me money. It's just so frustrating. And then you can go into the details of who that cunt was, and I will show you exactly where he's from and why I am so pissed off.
I want to say just I'm definitely sad about Rob's account being taken down, but the context here is hilarious because the reason it's gotten taken down is because of this company called Marhaba Cricket India, claiming, which has like digital rights into Bangladesh highlights or something like that. And so, Rob putting up a video was violated their copyright, and so they got that video taken down. But the fact is, even though it's called Marhaba Cricket India, the company is actually run by two Bangladeshi people in England.
Here's the thing.
And the SP is so pissed off.
Here's the thing. This is where I got really annoyed. So Alan Wilkins, famed broadcaster, former Glamorgan left-arm swing bowler as well. Alan Wilkins has been a broadcaster on multiple sports over a number of years. He started off actually working for Sky doing squash in the 90s, and then, of course, found his way to doing cricket. He did a deep dive and found this lovely nugget of information. I'm just going to share it with all of you guys. This company formed on the 1st of November 2023, so a week ago, based out of London, Guinness Court, flat 50 Mansell Street. Whatever. East one, yeah, fuck that. Mr. M.D. Samsujaman Litu. Samsu suck a fucking big suck a fucker ding dong, as the guys from the great cricketer would say. Suck a fucker ding dong. Bangladeshi director born in November 1984. You
Damn,
know
he's
what?
not even. He's close to our age. He's only a few years older.
Whatever, bro.
I thought this
Suck
might be
a
some old uncle trying to make a lot of money or something.
He's probably this is a front for some other random fucking thing. Why have they got Rob's videos pulled down? I fuck off. East Bengal. Fuck off. And yeah, that's the biggest podcast. So unless you're Shabazz Nadeem or Mr. Samshu
That's the biggest
Jaman Little,
podcast.
I'm saying that that's the end of this podcast. And thank you very much for watching.
Okay.
As usual, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and
Click the
Are
bell.
we getting you back for future episodes, Guddu?
I will. You guys will have to speak to my agent, but I am interested.
all right, fine. On that happy note,
Is your agent just SP's brother?
Yeah, it's just actually me with a different email ID. But I have no demands. Just call me back. I'm really desperate. So I will come at any time.
On that very happy note, it is time to end. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, and are we all
Don't
supposed
forget to say cheese.
I meant to say hit the ghanta button, the bell button, the bell icon, whatever you want to call it. But really, cheese.
Say cheese.
And please,
Because
please remember.
apparently we are taking photos. We have FBI powers.
Yeah.
It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't know Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't know Gavaskar at all.